Okay, welcome back to Bounce Around Charleston. Now I have with me Dr. Arlecia Simmons, and she wrote a wonderful spiritual book on relationships and dating. Welcome, Dr. Simmons, to Bounce Around Charleston.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, tell us what motivated you to write this book.
Well, Digging for Intimacy, Sex, Sensuality, and Loving God is actually my second book. And so I want to develop a series where people have some deep conversations, or as I call them, courageous conversations. So as we were going through the pandemic and I was reflecting and thinking about my own life, I am unpartnered, I'm single, I'm unmarried, I'm also an ordained clergy member. So I wrote Digging for Intimacy because I know that there are a lot of Christian women like myself, and we are still figuring out where God is as it relates to our dating and mating life. But to get into the relationships we want to, we have to think back to the past relationships and what we didn't do right and how we may need to heal before we can go into those new relationships we're hoping for.
Because when you said you're ordained clergy. So definitely when you're single and you're out there dating, people look at you with another eye, trying to figure out what are you doing.
Exactly. Not realizing that you are fearfully, wonderfully made with the same body parts that they have and the same challenges they have and the same desires that they have. So I thought it was really an opportunity to have a conversation Christian women don't really get to have. I talk about how Juanita Bynum started the conversation about 2 decades ago with No More Sheets.
No more sheets.
We've been stalled, and you have literature, but you really don't have people sharing their own experiences. So that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, so the book is out there already. Am I correct?
It is out. It is available on Amazon.com and as well on my website, drarlecia.com.
So is the book about personal situations that you have gone through?
Oh, yes. So it is not anything I've made up. It's very transparent. It's very raw. It's very, people say, oh, wow, you were courageous to talk about these failed relationships, these entanglements, these situationships that I went through even prior to becoming a minister. So it goes from my teenage years and even talks about my childhood and how our thoughts about sexuality, sensuality, and even how we think God believes or wants us to think about all of that starts when we're children. So it takes you on a journey.
It takes you on a journey. So does this book actually shape the lives of people after reading it?
I think what it does is it helps people to confront their own challenges, their own wounds, their own growing edges, as well as those places they may need to heal. At the end of each of the chapters, I have 10 chapters. There are 3 reflection questions. So the goal is for people to not read them in isolation, but to possibly read them in community with a small group, with the girl sister friends. Men have said, well, can I read this book? And so I suggest to clergy, if you are pastoring women, especially African American women, and you're hearing about all their, issues and you don't understand it because maybe you've been married a long period of time, read the book and then you'll understand why your 18-year-olds, your 28-year-olds, your 38-year-olds may be coming to you with some relationship challenges. And I think the church is a place where we should try to help people because, sometimes we just rush you to the deliverance line, lay hands on you, throw oil, and, send you on your way. But if we begin to have these conversations, even with our children about sexuality, then you won't have the need for some of the deliverance lines we have later at women's conferences.
So are you encouraging single and married people to read the book?
Well, I've had a number of married people read the book and say, I still need this book. And so it's a great book for millennials, for people considering marriage. People have asked, what's the youngest age I should give this to my child, my niece? And I would say definitely high schooler, going to college. I've had testimonies of people buying the book for themselves and then their 20-year-old takes it to college and then they're reading it with their friends. So it's really a good discussion that we don't often have. And I think mothers can have it with their daughters, and we can also have these conversations in the church space.
And where can one go to pick up the book?
Well, you can go to Amazon.com. It is available there as a Kindle, which is the ebook, as well as a soft cover. You can also go to my website, drlecia.com, and you can get you a copy. And I'm open to workshops. I've been having conversations. I had a conversation with 80 ministers, female clergy from New York and New Jersey. And I did that when the book first came out, and they've invited me back next Monday. So people are really interested in having this conversation.
Okay, Dr. Arlecia Simmons, digging for intimacy. We thank you for being on Bounce Around Charleston.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.